people are fed up. It is the last days of Lukashenko regime, no matter what he does. People are resolute to get rid of this insane dictator.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my backstory in Belarus. Incredible scenes from Eastern Europe's Belarus. 3 days after the election, already 7,000 people arrested. Beatings, tortures, horrific situation. It's about freedom. People know President Alexander Lukashenko held a sham, fraudulent vote. If ballots were counted fairly, he would be out after 27 years of erratic, autocratic rule. As a journalist, I've covered Russia and Eastern Europe for 2 decades. We all know that Belarus is one of those former Soviet countries where voting is political theater, the results never real, just as in Putin's Russia, smoke and mirrors. On the street, tears and anger. She says we are all Belarusians. How is this possible? Fighting against your own people, this is not fair. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, the main opposition challenger, was detained and then fled to Lithuania, implying that she was given an impossible choice with threats to her children's safety. She only stood for president because her husband was jailed, and she wanted free and fair elections. Her words after she was threatened and detained.
Многие меня поймут, многие меня осудят, а многие и возненавидят. Но, знаете, не дай Бог оказаться перед таким выбором, перед которым оказалась я.
I know many will understand me, many will judge me, and many will begin to hate me. God forbid anyone faces the choices I have had to face. The EU will meet to sanction Belarus, maybe, but this is not the first election hijacked by Lukashenko. It's not the first time people have been beaten and locked up and tortured. But public outrage is across the country now. In 2010, almost the same thing happened on a smaller scale. And I want you to listen to the opposition candidate at that time, Andrei Sannikov, a former deputy foreign secretary for Belarus who dared to challenge Lukashenko. All right, joining me now from Warsaw, Poland, is Andrei Sannikov. Hello, Mr. Sannikov.
Hello.
You have a long, very tough story to tell because you were the deputy foreign minister of Belarus. You served under Lukashenko, and then you ran against him, and you were brutally jailed. Tell me about it. Tell me about what happened in 2010.
I served under Shushkevich, who is the first head of independent Belarus, and I was in the foreign ministry long before Lukashenko was even known to the people in Belarus. He was somebody that I never knew. He was somebody that I thought first was very most accidental politician in the whole Belarusian parliament at that time, including the communists. So I'm still a career diplomat, and I worked for Belarus. And yes, then Lukashenko happened to be elected.
He came and he never left.
He came and happened to be elected more or less democratically in 1994.
And that was probably the first and last democratic election?
That was first and last. And it is not my words, it's the assessment of the international community. The only international organization that has the authority to judge is the ODIHR, Office of Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, which belongs to the OSCE, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe.
All right. In 2010, I mean, he was no kitten at that point. He was known to be a tough leader. Why did you take the risk to run against him? What motivated you then, and what happened to you?
Well, I took the risk to run against him in 1996, not in 2010, when I stepped down as a deputy foreign minister, and I wrote my application for resignation, saying that I'm against his policy. They tried to pressure me, they tried to bribe me, but I was quite resolute because I wanted my country. I knew what it was to be to serve an independent country, wanting it to be democratic. And then when this person appeared, I couldn't continue to work professionally. So yes, in 2010, I decided to run against him because it was, I think, turning point for Belarus. If you remember, there was a crisis, world economic crisis, starting in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And with the abilities of Lukashenko to run economy, it was clear that the Belarus will be in horrible situation because he doesn't do anything. He claims that he understands economy, he doesn't.
All right.
Claims that he can cope with the economy, he doesn't. And it was clear that the country was in a catastrophic situation. So it was not my personal decision. It was the decision of my team, very professional team, which, by the way, included the first head of state of Belarus, Stanislav Shushkevich.
You lost the election. You lost the election. I'm not sure you really lost it, but the fix was in as it was in this election.
No, I didn't lose. Actually, I wouldn't say about myself, but we had a couple of strong candidates in the opposition and alternative candidates, and Lukashenko lost the election, but he claimed that he won the election.
Right. And you were jailed.
Yes, I was thrown in jail on the night of the election. For the first time, Lukashenko decided to attack us on the night of election, because before that he did it. But after you left, I mean, international observers and international press, cowards don't like publicity. They like to do it secretly.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2010, yes, he attacked us on the night of election. Yes, and not only me, but more than 1,000 people were jailed at that time.
How were you treated in prison? How brutal a regime is this?
It is a very brutal regime. We were tortured. We were. They had special programs, as I learned from them. At some stage, they had the security institute that developed special programs for each opposition leader, which were based on the psychological studies that they made in prison before that, eavesdropping us and following us and, let's say, sending their people to spy on us. And yes, they were quite skillful in that, and they were quite meticulous in putting pressure on everybody.
What is he willing to do? You're seeing what's happening in the street now. He's chased his opposition. He's either arrested them or intimidated them or physically attacked them, or the main opposition leader now has fled to Lithuania. What is he capable of doing now? As people are in the street and they understand that this election has been stolen from them.
I have to correct you. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya is no opposition leader. She stood against Lukashenko, and she actually replaced her husband, who was thrown in jail. But she is no opposition leader. Never was and never will be.
Right. She was a very reluctant participant in the political process.
Absolutely. What she wants to do, what he wants to do, he has an experience of his relationship with Russia and with the West. We call it the pendulum politics. When he tried to court the West against Russia and court Putin against the West. And he is quite sure that this time he also will succeed. That eventually the West will recognize him as de facto leader and give him money. And, it's been the story of his illegal rule through all these more than 20 years, that the West was condemning, yes, introducing some kind of sanctions, which were very mild, even compared to the sanctions which the West introduced against Russia. And then they forgot it because the attention span is very short in the West as regards Lukashenko, who is considered to be a petty dictator.
All right, I understand the EU is going to meet. They're going to talk about it. The US has condemned it. The EU's got all sorts of problems with Hungary, who may veto anything that they attempt to do. Let's talk at just your measure of the people in the street who, up until now, a lot of people in Belarus have not been willing to go out and confront authorities. It seems like it's changed and things are not going to go back to normal again.
No, absolutely right. People are fed up. It is the last days of Lukashenko regime, no matter what he does. And the reason for it is his attitude towards COVID-19. Because not only he denied it, that there is a pandemic, but he also behaved so arrogantly, trying to offend people and humiliate people. He made them exposed to the dangers by organizing military parades and everything. And then he started to accuse them of dying, and people were fed up. People started to organize themselves. People started to organize the very broad and strong volunteer movement, helping each other. And they saw that this guy is really despising them. He managed to achieve impossible. He managed to offend everybody in Belarus, all people in Belarus. And that's it. I think that no matter what he does today, no matter how much force he uses against the people, you see what's going on in the streets of Belarus. People are resolute to get rid of this insane dictator.
And are you worried for your people between getting rid of him and what may happen between now and then and how desperate he is?
Yeah, of course. And that's why we do need help from our friends. We do need strong measures from democratic states, not just blabbering. They're still involved in studying the situation. It's not time to study because it's not happened on Sunday. We have people thrown in prison and tortured there for 2 months already. There is an international convention against tortures, and nobody revokes it. And nobody wants to sanction Lukashenko regime, not because he has stolen election from us, but because he is torturing people in prison. It's a crime. It's a crime. It's an international crime. So I don't know why the West is so timid, why the West is so ignorant that Belarusians today defend democratic values.
Andrei Sannikov, thank you so much for your time. It's really important to talk to you and to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Lukashenko has called protesters criminals who are out of work and need a job. He has claimed victory and set police on demonstrators. We will see if Belarusians will swallow this bitter pill, or this time, Lukashenko may not be able to contain the unrest. That's this edition of Backstory. Please let us know how you feel about the podcast, and please share it and subscribe so you get all of our editions. We normally put podcasts out on Friday, but sometimes the news can't wait. I'm Dana Lewis, and I'll talk to you soon.